I actually started traveling at a very young age. I have pictures of when I was a year old on the beach in the Keys in my little rubber duckies.
Curiosity is kind of the key to life, isn't it?
Deep curiosity, like keep finding out, see what's out there and keep going.
The child part of life.
Traveling has been part of my lifestyle for a long time. I spent 20 years in the Navy flying C-130s, and I've been to places all over the world. And I always wanted to go back to all these places. We're people watchers.
That's what we like to do, is see how the locals live.
Because we rather go eat where the locals want to eat, not necessarily where
The Michelin stars are.
Travel for me is enriching. I've always been interested in travel ever since I can remember as a little boy. I remember once my father bought me a map of the United States, and I circled areas I wanted to see. I knew that then I wanted to see the world.
Travel means to me expanding your knowledge, expanding your world, understanding how the world operates.
It's the connections with other people that we really appreciate. It just makes the whole world feel not so big.
Right.
It's just so amazing.
Yep. It's life-changing, really.
May of 2023. A truly remarkable moment for Oceania Cruises.
I hereby name this ship Vista.
We welcomed Vista, one of the most anticipated ships of the year. She represents the future of Oceania Cruises. She is the launching pad to our dazzling and dynamic tomorrow. And tomorrow has arrived. Let's go. With Allura, the journey continues. A journey that leads to one place, the ultimate Oceania Cruises experience. Embark on the irresistible thrill of striking out into the unknown, the sweeping freedom of exploration. Experience the world in the essence of greater luxury. Allura's inaugural journeys have been thoughtfully curated to appeal to seasoned global travelers. Whether you delight in reconnecting with favorite destinations or you're excited to discover new places and sights for the first time. We can't wait to welcome you aboard Allura for her inaugural season in 2025. Your world is calling.
Wow. Wow, that Allura looks amazing, Guilliaume.
Yeah, it really is. It's yeah, we're really looking forward to her launching next year.
Wow. Hey,
Goosebumps.
everybody, welcome. It's Thursday night. It's time for another Cruise Shot Live. And Guilliaume, you're like our first three-peat guest, I believe.
Oh, hey, listen.
Third time.
I'll need to get a plaque and hang it up on the wall.
You are one of the most requested guests to come back, actually. People are like, is
fantastic.
that Oceania guy coming back? I don't know if it's the accent or they want to hear more about the cruise line.
maybe that's why they need me back, because they're like, I didn't really catch that thing on the first time you said it. Walter doesn't have the subtitles just quite yet.
That's right. We got to get some subtitles running. Well, folks, welcome. I'm Walter with what's the matter, honey?
Your audio is way lower than his.
I'm sorry, honey?
Your audio is way lower than his.
My audio is way lower than his. Okay. I don't know. Rebecca said my audio is much, much lower than yours for some reason.
Oh, I'm not sure why.
I don't know why, and we unfortunately have no control over that. So I'll talk louder, maybe, is what I'll do. I don't know.
You're coming through loud and clear on my side.
Well, that's good. Is everybody out there hearing me okay? I hope you are. My wife is a former audio technician, so she's always checking this stuff for me. Thank you, Alex. So I am Walter from Where's Walter Travel. Welcome to Travel Chat Live tonight with our special guest, Guilliaume from Oceania Cruises. We book your land luxury cruise and expedition, and we just so happen to have, you can see it on the side of the screen there, An amazing Alaska group cruise is going to go out on June 26th of 2025. 12 nights. Guilliaume, I wish you were coming with us. There's going to be 12 nights in Alaska. And it's one of the few reasons, typically we don't go out of Seattle. We kind of like that, Vancouver to Alaska run. But 12 nights, you're giving us all the ports. We get to go to Hubbard Glacier. But
You got to take your time about it, right?
I'm telling you, and because we locked in this group, I don't know, Guilliaume, I think we talked about this 6-8 months ago, something like that. Our rates are really, really good, and we can talk a little bit later about, with the changes coming, what's going to happen with our group. But I'm so excited. I'm so happy you're here.
Well, thanks, Will. I appreciate it. It's it's one of many exciting itineraries that we do have. To be honest, that 10 to 12 day range is kind of Oceania's sweet spot. We're that kind of cruise line where we want to invest the time in those destinations because we're going to some real fantastic ports in the world where you as the guest want to experience it, immerse yourself in it, and sometimes just going in and out in 7 days just doesn't cut the mustard. Sometimes you want to spend a little bit more time in that destination if you're going that kind of length of travel sometimes. Yeah. And it's going to be a great itinerary for next year. Definitely. Well, personally, I'm from the West Coast myself, as you mentioned. Vancouver is my hometown. And it's actually quite, it was a bittersweet moment, actually. I was just on the regatta last week. The regatta is our R-class vessel, so about 650 passengers on that vessel there. And it's the last time that she's going to be doing Alaska. And the regatta has done Alaska for the last forever. I've done so many visits on board the regatta, and as I say, it was kind of a little bittersweet in that there's some really great team members on board that vessel that I've become friends with over the years. And being on board, I was like, well, actually, I don't know when I'm going to see some of these guys again. But the excitement is for next year because we've got the Riviera coming up. And it's going to be great. So the Riviera, we call it the O-class vessels. It was our very first custom-built vessels for Oceania. About 1,250 passengers on those ones, so slightly bigger than the R-class ones, but that means you got a little bit more space in there in terms of the amenities that you have on board, in terms of restaurants and theaters and staterooms. So very, very excited to be welcoming the Riviera up in Alaska next year.
Just take a shot of whiskey, you'll get it. It'll be
there. We go.
It'll be awesome. And before we go any further, I just want to say hello. We've got Rick, Alex, Vintage Voyagers here, Betty's here, Gary's here, Aaron's here. And Gary, the Allure is actually the newest ship coming from Oceania. And it's going to be the sister to the Vista. So when does that come out, Guilliaume?
So next year, basically around about a year from now. So next June, we're going to be welcoming the Allura. So that's the sister ship to the Vista. So the Vista we actually just launched last year. Again, to some really, really great fanfare. That initial christening launch there over in Valletta in Malta last year was like a real heart-tugging presentation. That one, it was a great presentation. So on that introduction video, you saw Frank Jr. and Frank Jr. took the reins over from Frank Sr. So Frank Del Rio Sr. And it was not only us welcoming the new ship, but it was also a little bit of a handoff from father over his son as Frank Jr. became president of the company last year. So it was a great event. But yeah, Allura, we're going to be accepting next year. It's sister ship, which is just absolutely fantastic. Beautiful looking vessel.
And Vintage Voyager saying, hey, you can't wait for that Alaska group cruise. I'm telling you, people, if you have not booked, now you were talking about time in port. I believe we have 14-hour stops. We've got a couple of 14-hour stops. We've even got 12 hours in Victoria. Now, anybody who has gone round trip Seattle knows that on most cruise lines, that's just a token, like 3 hour, we need to stop here. But we're going to have 12 hours in Victoria.
Yeah, you get to see some beautiful destinations there. You know, you got Bouchard Gardens out there. That's always a tourist hotspot. It's actually just even walking in and around the harbor itself. It's a beautiful city. You know, very unlike a lot of the cities out here on the West Coast.
Wow. Yeah, we're going to try to do the Bouchard Gardens and another tour. I don't know if we're going to have time to do both.
You should be all right.
The timing. Well, the timing of when things close, like the Bouchard Gardens actually close a little bit early, so I don't know. But anyway, but we're going to make a day.
You'll figure it out.
For sure.
Yeah, you'll figure it out.
Yeah. So why don't we talk a little bit, there's going to be some changes happening. Right now, as we record this, is September 19th. So
That's right.
Simply More package that has been around for about a year or so.
That's right.
Is still in effect, but coming October 1, 2024, you're now going to roll out a new onboard package. So why don't you kind of walk us through that?
Yeah, so you know what, we did launch Simply More last year. We were trying to kind of retweak a standard offer that we had in the first place called O-Life, and it was a little bit clunky, a little bit complicated for guests. So with Simply More, we kind of wanted to emphasize a little bit on that. But as things progressed, we kind of found that a lot of the guests that we have didn't find the full value in the offer that we were given through with Simply More. Now, granted, you can't please 100% of the people 100% of the time. So, granted, there is some people that did find value in it, and there's other people who don't find value. But the majority of the guests that we do have, really, everybody tends to benefit from gratuities. So we decided to do kind of a bit of a blanket move and really kind of return more to our roots and what made Oceania successful at the very get-go. One of the things as a company we found was that our slogan is your world, your way. And the original mantra was that we wanted to offer a luxury product in the marketplace, but something that was completely unbundled. So it gave the freedom back to guests to choose or decide on what level of luxury they wanted to travel at. So the service levels on board, the cuisine, the decor, the quality of the ships, the quality of the destinations, all that comes in at a luxury standpoint. And we wanted to provide that luxury service whilst on board. But where many of our guests, and you speak to so many Oceania guests, and we originally were with Simply More, we were offering a beverage package, which included beer, wine, and champagne at lunch and dinners. I've been at a few shows with a lot of people in attendance at those of late, and the amount of people that came up to me and are saying, you know what, we just don't drink, or we have one glass of wine a day. You're not benefiting from that package, so to speak. So really, the vast majority at least, and as such, we have decided to kind of move away from that and go back to our original roots, offering a really great luxury product at a very good and competitive standpoint in the marketplace. But at the same time, we can tailor make it to your needs as needed. The great thing, though, from the get-go, we're going for a real base level there where gratuities are now going to be standard inclusions from October the 1st. And then if you so wish to then, add on a drinks package or take our air or add on shore excursions or, all the kind of different extras that kind of come along, we can add those back in. But we will give you a really competitive luxury cruise at a really premium price point almost. And that was really the mantra from the get-go, was that, we were trying to create a little bit of a space in the marketplace between that luxury segment where there is, everything's included. You really don't need to think of anything. You pay for one price, right? And you get everything included. You don't have to think about anything else that comes along. Or we have slightly more inclusions. So definitely one of the things that we do want the guests to have whilst on board is a completely relaxed experience. So, all things like, which are important to our guests. So like, for example, Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is still included in the cost of the sailing.
Right.
Our fantastic cuisine, we want the guests to still still enjoy this. So all the specialty restaurants are included in the cost of the sailing. Anything that's non-alcoholic is included in the cost of the sailing. So you're not paying additionally for water bottles or.
As long as I don't have to pay for the coffee, you got me.
There you go. No coffees, so you don't need a drinks package for that. For us, that's already included as part of the sailing. So, as I say, we kind of wanted to get a little bit back down to basics there, and offer this great luxury product, but at a price point that's more in the kind of upper premium space.
Yeah, and I have actually been talking to more and more guests who are like, I don't need a drink package at all. I'll have a glass of wine, I'll have one cocktail, and I can kind of see where the guests were coming from with Oceania, with a lot of that feedback saying, I'm paying for something I'm not using.
Exactly, and honestly, I was just chatting with a gentleman at the weekend there, and he was like, well, it's not as good $1.01 deal back to me to have the gratuities included, and I was like, well, listen, you're always going to be using the gratuities. They're always going to be included there. And I broke it down to him. I was like, how many glasses of wine were you having in a day? And he was like, well, I had one at lunchtime. And I was like, well, really, again, you've got a package there that's just, you're just not utilizing it to the best of its abilities. Exactly. So, but whereas the gratuities you will always use. So, it'll be a transition. We've had Simply More in just for a year, so it's not like it's a very dyed in the wool thing. So, and again, the one thing in travel as well is constant. The one constant is change. So we will experiment with this, see how things go, and if things need to go back to where they were at some point in the future, I'm sure people who are much brighter than myself will figure that out.
I mean, personally, I like the idea of rolling. I think everybody should just roll the gratuities in anyway, because you're going to pay them. So
exactly.
Why not? And everybody say, oh, I'll just prepay them. Just put them in the fare, get it over with. It would be nice if this was a movement. Just put them in there so that, there's none of that, well, what else do I have to pay for?
Exactly.
At this point, it's just alcohol and excursions, whatever you want to do.
Exactly.
And I see Vintage Voyager says personally they love the all-inclusive sailings, and you still have that option. I mean,
you do.
You still have, if you want to just pay it all in the cruise fare, well, there are other options out there, but even with Oceania, you can add to your package and have it all-inclusive.
You can have it as any way that you want, essentially. If you prefer the leaner, meaner side of things, then we have that option available to you. If you want to pay one price and have everything included, we also have that price for you. It's not that we do not have the all-inclusivity. It's just we've just unpackaged everything so that you don't need to. You pick what's important to you, essentially.
Yeah, and I think that's a great idea. And of course, we'll all see how that, like you said, we'll see how it plays out in October. You guys will watch it for a bit. You might do some tweaks here and there, but. Simply More wasn't, although it is kind of funny on the forums, because we got to look at those forums, how everybody was all up in arms when Simply More came out, and now that it's going away, they're all up in arms again. It's just so funny.
Yeah.
But it will all go each way. It's going to work out. Alex actually has a question that we can go ahead and jump in on right here. And I know you have some information on this that you can share. So what do you have about 2026?
Yeah, 2026. So we will be launching. So we kind of go in a little bit of a cycle. So for the 23rd of October, we're going to be launching the remaining 2026 itineraries for Europe and the Americas. So that'll bring us all the way, because we right now I think we have some early exotics in at 2026.
Yep.
What it'll do is it'll bring in the rest of that European deployment, so summertime in the Mediterranean and through into the fall. And then obviously, you know, Alaska season and South America season that are in the summer going into the fall as well. So those we will launch as normal. And what I mean by normal is that we will do a 1 week preview prior to the 23rd of October. So what we'll do is we will put all of the itineraries out. So all the itineraries will be available for everybody to preview, along with all of the pricing. And then on the 23rd of October at 8 a.m. Eastern time, that's when the books open up, and that's when you can start making your bookings from there. So yeah, there'll be some really beautiful itineraries out there. And then eventually what we'll do is we'll then start to get into the 2027 itineraries. That usually comes along or coincides with the launch of our 2027 Around the World cruise. And that will usually come out roughly around about the start of the new year.
Oh, wow. Wow. Do you have any hints on what ship that's going to be?
Well, the 2026 ship was on the Vista, which was really incredible. And so again, the very first time that we have a newer vessel, because the Insignia, which is the sister ship to the Regatta, that was our Around the World ship for forever again. So it's really nice to have the Vista as a part of the 2026. Hopefully, you never know. We may have the Vista do it again. Who knows? We may have the Allura do it. It's one of these things. Wow. That'll be interesting.
Wow, and Rick is all excited. He is going on the Allura November 25.
Love to hear it.
So stoked for this one.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the interesting thing with the Allura, I think we're going to touch on some slides later on, but I'll maybe share it right now because we've strike while the iron is hot. So we're doing a couple of tweaks over and above from the Vista to the Allura. One of them, which is I think it's a really great idea, and it's a bit of a hidden gem on board the Vista, is we have this specialized bar called the Founders Bar, where they make these absolutely fantastic craft cocktails, and nice. That's just a little offshoot on the casino, and it's kind of in this little area in between the casino and our main dining room. Great little place to grab a drink before dinner time, and some really innovative cocktails in there, like some of the most innovative I've seen anywhere. That bar has proved so popular that we're actually going to take a little bit out of the casino section and add more space for her, that bar there, because it's just been proved it's such a hit with many of our guests there. So that's going to give you a little bit of a preview on the Allura there.
Wow, that sounds absolutely lovely. Now, anytime you're going to put a nicer bar in there, I am very excited about that. As long as I get a good old-fashioned, that's my thing right there.
So they do an old-fashioned at that bar, but there's a little bit of a twist on it. It's called an Earl Grey old-fashioned. So you actually have an old-fashioned, and the bourbon's been infused with Earl Grey, and then you actually get an Earl Grey tea bag in the cocktail itself. So it's a pretty neat. It is a really nice taste. It's got a little bit of a sweetness to it, but it's really nice. Wow. I enjoyed that a lot.
Wow. Any other kind of like tweaks? If you want to start showing some slides, I'm happy to
do
it. But are any other little tweaks that you want to?
On the Allura as well. On the Vista, there is like an internet cafe area that was kind of dedicated to. I guess best way it's like an IT classroom essentially, and again, it's maybe not the most utilized thing on the ship itself. So I believe that's going to be swap locations, and we're going to be using something else in that space. What I don't know quite as yet, but yeah, we're going to be kind of tweaking things slightly around on that one there.
Okay. And you guys, I've been alluding to it, you have some slides to show us. You guys have a flash sale that is launching. I'm going to pop this up and hand it over to you.
September.
Flash sale.
Yeah, we've got a few different sales on at the moment, actually. One of the things that we generally tended to do a little bit was our first one here is our 4 category upgrade sale, and that was actually in place for Labor Day. But we've decided, like before, we used to only have a sale on for 3 or 4 days. And unfortunately, a lot of guests were like, "Oh my goodness, I didn't realize and I missed it." So we're extending this Labor Day sale to the whole month of September there. We have a number of different sailings that are available on this that give you a 4 category upgrade. So the great thing about this is if you're new to Oceania, this is a really great introductory offer for you. Or if you're used to Oceania and you're maybe in one of our verandas, we'll offer a concierge at veranda pricing.
Oh, nice.
If you've been in concierge before, we're going to offer penthouses at concierge pricing. Or if you've been on another line before and you kind of compared apples to apples when it comes to your previous line and Oceania, sometimes those verandas are maybe a little bit price point different. But when we're offering a veranda at ocean view pricing, that's a much closer bridge to gap there. So there's some really great opportunities in this and some beautiful sailings as well. I'll share a couple of them just to kind of give you an example of what we're all about. So I know we've talked about Alaska, but on the other side of the Pacific there, we've got this fantastic 22-day sailing going into March. So this is beautiful sailing, starts at Singapore, heading all the way through to Taipei. So you're getting some absolute, starting the beautiful Southeast Asia there. You're getting Koh Samui in Thailand, which is, like a paradise. It's just absolutely beautiful itself. Get a few ports in Vietnam, Hong Kong, one into China, and a couple of ports in Japan there to kind of whet your appetite. We have some things that are a little bit closer to home. So this beautiful 10-day sailing on the Serena. And when we're doing the Caribbean, we're not just hitting up those, Cozumel and Costa Maya, or the usual suspects. We've got some interesting options there. Charlotte Amalie and Virgin Gorda. So a little bit off the beaten path, and that's kind of one of the things that can be.
That's almost like the cruise that we did for Christmas last year. It was absolutely stonking beautiful being on that small ship.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I believe you were on the Serena as well, if I'm right in saying.
We were on the
Fantastic.
Serena. It was beautiful.
Great. And then again, going back over, the reason I kind of brought this one up is it's a great Taipei to Kyoto sailing, this one. And you're going to get into Kyoto and into Japan with this one during the Cherry Blossom Festival.
My gosh.
It's a really popular sailing, this one as well. And then, as we mentioned, the flash sale. We just have launched this one right today. So just a quick 10-day sale, this one. We have some beautiful Caribbean sailings available. And the reason I like this one as well is that we actually have a few sailings in queue in the second quarter of 2025 that are on board the Vista. There's about 20 to 30 sailings involved with this, where we have a 25% off. The great thing is if you can book by the end of the month, and if you do covet those shore excursions and you do covet the drinks package, that's still available through until the end of the month. And again, as I mentioned, that was on the Vista there, just to kind of give you a little bit of a sense of what that beautiful ship looks like there. It's just, absolutely stunning, this ship. It's, I've been lucky enough to have been on a few ships in my life, and hands down, I've got to say the attention to detailing, the overall aesthetic of this ship. It's
absolutely gorgeous.
One of the finest ships I've ever been on in my life. It's just, I can't say enough about it. It's just absolutely fantastic.
The staircase, everything about it is absolutely stonking amazing on there. We have not been on it yet. We have been on the Serena so far. We'll be on Riviera next year, so the next ship would be, one of these.
Yeah,
right?
Well, one thing is maybe don't hang around too long, because things are always evolving in the brand here, and the Vista, we're launching the Allura next year, and I'm not sure if you've heard, but we're actually launching a further 2 new ships. We're going to be
2 more?
2 more, yes. We will be launching a new ship in 2027 and a new ship in 2029. So,
wow.
And they're going to also be a separate class unto themselves as well. So,
really?
Yeah.
So they won't be sisters to the Vista and the Allura.
They will not, no. And again, quite interesting here. It's as this kind of ultra premium segment tends to grow, so do the vessels. So with these 2 new vessels, they're going to be roughly in around about the 1,400 passenger range. That sweet spot we tend to find is that, that between kind of 900, so you'll see our sister brand, for example, Regent, which is the all-inclusive brand. They have really great ships in around about that 900 range. And then us going up to roughly about 1,400. Now, I know a lot of people might be like, oh gosh, 1,200 is about as much as I want to go on, but 1,400 just seems a bit too much. But to let you know, there is an upside to this. So for about 20% more passengers over and above the Vista and the Allura, we're actually going to have about a third larger ship. So the Vista and the Allura come in at around about 65,000 gross tons. These new ships are going to come in just like around about 87,000 tons. So you're getting, so that means you're getting a lot more square footage back to yourself. And that means we're going to be able to do a few innovative things fast on board when it comes to the dining, it comes to the amenities on board.
Space. Yeah.
Absolutely. So
2-story suite.
Oh, you're getting ahead of us right now. Yeah, you're getting ahead of us right now. But yes, so that's about the only details we have currently on those 2 new ships.
Wow.
But yeah, really exciting for, we hadn't had new ships in such a long time. It was like it'd been almost a dozen years before the launch of the Vista, prior to having a new ship. So now having a further 2 new ships in the space of another few years is fantastic. And it's the evolution of the brand. These new ships look absolutely stunning. And the sister, these newer ones are just equally going to be quite as stunning as well.
Yeah. I mean, that is a significantly larger ship, but not only 200 more passengers. So
that's right.
We're definitely looking at more room for stateroom. We've got more public space available. So yeah, that's going to be a lovely resort.
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
what that's going to be. Wow.
So I'd imagine we'd probably, again, because we don't have as many guests coming on as board. That one of the things that we always tend to find actually is funny is we're kind of a top down company. So like our super suites are always the first ones to go. So for example,
they sure are.
When we do our itinerary launch on the 23rd of October, it's generally the owner's suites and the Vista suites and the Oceania suites. They're the ones that are kind of most coveted. And a lot of our past passengers have very much got their ducks in the row, and they kind of know what they like and they know what they want. And they're the ones who are like, 8 in the morning EST, Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to be on there making that booking, and I have my credit card ready to go on this owner suite. It's so I guess maybe with these newer ships, it might allow us to add in more of these kind of coveted types of staterooms. So it's an interesting evolution. Even our sister companies right now, they're launching brand new ships all the time as well. So it's an interesting business to be in.
There's a whole group of people who just have been Fincantieri looking at the Aqua on your sister Norwegian over there. So, hey, and by the way, I'm just going to throw this out there. If you ever have a ship visit that you allow agents to go see, that's one thing I totally want to do is I want to go to a shipyard and see a ship under construction. So if that ever comes up for one of these 2 new ships, I will gladly go over and see it.
Yeah, me before you, Walter. I've never been
How
on
about
one myself.
together? How
Yeah,
about
there we
together?
go.
Let's go together.
Yeah, it's only
Uh,
those highfalutin sea executive types that get to go see the ship get built and
I
processed.
know, I know. Hey, great question from Alex. How solo friendly is Oceania?
We are, yes. It's a growing segment of the marketplace. So we actually have on Vista, we have some dedicated solo staterooms that were custom designed for solo passengers. So those are our solo concierge veranda rooms. Because of the popularity of those ones, we actually retrofitted our older vessels. So the R class of vessels. Oh, there goes my earbud there. Sorry. I'm back.
I switched my microphone around. I don't know if it sounds any better, but I tried switching it around.
Yeah. So yes, solo friendly. They retrofitted those R class ships, and personally, I even though those vessels weren't originally created to have solo staterooms on them, that's actually the benefit there because let me tell you, those vessels or those staterooms used to be our old. Yeah, there are old obstructed view, ocean view staterooms, and they were designed for double occupancy. We can't change the blueprint of that ship. We can't change the footprint of the ship. So those solo staterooms were designed for two people. So you actually get a very large stateroom for that solo passenger. So my recommendation is actually the R-class vessels for your solo travelers there. And along with that as well, we have solo meetups. Our crew staff as well they'll have like a designated meeting at the start of the cruise with other solos that are on board to include. So yeah, we're pretty solo friendly, I would say, as a company.
Yeah, and I can attest to those ocean views. They are big because that's what we stayed in on the Serena, and that was a big stateroom. That was absolutely lovely. Great stateroom attendant. Man, you have some of the best attendants. You have some of the best crew. That was the thing that blew me away. I mean, there's 670, 680 passengers on that ship, and we felt like family the moment we stepped on. Your crew knew our names. Here's a little thing that happened. So the very first night, I didn't realize that the barista's bar really stopped doing coffee like around 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, something like that.
Yeah.
And so we come up to dinner. First night, there's always going to be a little bit of a line, right? Everybody wants to get in. So I go to order a coffee, and he's like, well, actually, we stopped that, but I'm going to go ahead and make you one. So he makes me the beautiful cappuccino. We sit there, and we're waiting. And instead of them saying, Walter, come on over, your table's ready, your dining captain comes over to the table, picks up my cappuccino, says, follow me. And he guides us right to the table. I'm like, that won me over right from the first night. I'm like, I love this service. And that just set the tone for the entire week. I love, love, love your service.
So that's a funny thing you should say, Walter, because our biggest thing on board is the small things that make a big difference. And, we're not the type of line that's going to blow you away with, we don't have hairspray or cats or any of these kind of big West End shows. People aren't going on board for those.
Right.
To the to the other side of things as well. We don't like our sister brand, Norwegian. It's got all sorts of gizmos and go-karts and rock climbing walls and all these sorts of different newfangled things on all the ships. The ships are almost becoming the destination unto themselves, really. Whereas what we want to do whilst you're on board is create an ambiance of you feeling at home, feeling comfortable. We want you to go into that destination. We want you to immerse yourself in the destination. We want you to come back. We want you to have a fantastic meal. And we want you then to be recharged so that you can go out the following day and be ready to go out at it again. And that's the whole kind of mantra around Oceania. And again, that's kind of why we're trying to get back to some of our roots. We wanted to concentrate a little bit more on the service levels, the cuisine, the delivery of these fantastic vessels. And, we didn't want to be the line that it was all about the offer. We wanted to be the line, to be standing out for these small things that make a big difference.
Yeah, and I can, anybody who's watched my channel knows that I talk a lot about food on here. And my experience was the main dining room, or the grand dining room, was better than a lot of the specialty meals that we had on your mainstream cruise lines. And then, of course, your specialty, I mean, red ginger was unbelievable. Toscano steak was unbelievable. But just the main dining room, just going in there and just being blown away every single night by the service, by the quality of the cuisine, just by everything. And folks, I got to tell you, it is, some people are like, oh God, luxury. Oh my goodness, what am I going to have to wear? It's so casual on that ship and so laid back. It was, I don't want to say it's come as you are, but it was just, relax, have a seat, and let us take care of you for a while. That's kind of what it felt like on those ships.
That's it, right? A lot of people are like, again, they maybe see the price point, or they maybe see the decor on board, and then they're like, okay, when is it that I have to wear my tux? No, we wanted to get we wanted to get rid of that part of the cruising. It's many of our passengers, or many of our guests, have worn a suit their entire life for business, and now they're at that point in life where they're like, what? If I don't have to wear a suit, I don't want to. So we have no formal nights. We have no photographers on board. We have no art auctions. We still keep bingo. Bingo is still a staple. I'm afraid you're never going to get rid of that.
And you do have a casino.
Yeah, we do. We do have a casino as well. But yeah, we wanted to kind of, again, it goes back into that relaxation. We just want you to have a fantastic, enjoyable time whilst on board, and really explore those destinations whilst having the great cuisine. Cuisine is really where we're all about. It's really funny. We've been able to talk about these great destinations, and we've talked about the new ships and the design elements of this. We haven't even touched on the cuisine really. And that's if you don't know Oceania for anything else, our tagline is the finest cuisine at sea. We really truly try and put our money where our mouth is. We, as a company, spend more on ingredients than any other cruise line out there. Because we cater to fewer guests as well, it allows us to do things slightly differently over and above some of the big lines. So one thing that we do differently is we cook à la minute. So when the waiter's taking your order and taking it into the kitchen, that's where and when your meal's being prepared. And that goes a long way into the taste of things. So I'm sure you can attest to that, Walter.
Just unreal. I mean, it really was. Every night was just like, I can't even compare this to specialty dining on other vessels. And by the way, surf and turf every day out by the pool. Are you freaking kidding me? Yes.
Yeah.
Guess what I was having every day, man? I was having surf and turf almost every day. And in the buffet, and I've told this story before, but made to order lobster tails, shrimp. We had lamb chops, steak, and some other things. Are you breaking up a little bit there?
No, it's my webcam here. It's playing tricks on me. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Yes, we can
Sorry,
still hear you.
on. Okay,
We lost your picture, but that's okay.
That's all right. All right,
we all
hold
saw
on.
you for a while.
Hold on, let me see if it's starting again.
Uh-oh. Now we just lost him altogether. Oh, my gosh. Oh, wait, there he is. Hold on. He switched to another camera. Hold on. I got you, Guilliaume. You're coming there. There you go.
It's coming right.
How about that? Wait,
There
I'm going
we
to
go.
switch to my other camera. Okay, how's that?
Yeah, it's coming on the other side now. I'll need to switch you all the way over here so I can
That
looking
actually
straight
looked
at
better
you.
than the other camera did. You should have been there.
There you go. There we are.
So between my audio and your camera, this is the best show yet.
Yeah. No wonder we needed 3 cracks at it.
By the 4th show, we're going to have this all figured out, Guilliaume.
Hopefully, right.
This is an interesting question. You may not even have an answer yet, but with the larger ships, will you be able to stop at the same ports you stop at now? And Alex, one thing to consider, the ship is still tiny compared to Like when this thing pulls up next to a Royal Caribbean ship, you're not going to have any trouble telling which one's Royal Caribbean and which one's Oceania.
Well, to give you an idea there, Alex, you could fit. So on the new vessels, you could fit every single one of our passengers, including our crew, if I remember right in saying, into their main theater, and we'd still have room. Granted, with the new ship come in, maybe not quite now, but with as it stands today, with the 7 ships that we currently have in the fleet, that's where we stand right now.
Icon and Oasis class, you could easily put everybody in the theater, easy.
Yeah. Easy. So the draft of those ships, as Walter is mentioning there, even though they seem like we're talking about a 1,400 passenger ship, in the grand scheme of things, those ships are very, very small considerably. I mean, even considering them up against even like your premium guys, so your Holland Americas or your Princesses, we're a pretty small footprint against those guys as well.
Yeah, you're looking at 2,200, 2,300 for the small ship from them.
Yeah.
So you're still half that size.
Yeah, the gross tonnage on those ones will be, in around about like 110,000-ish.
Yeah, minimum.
Yeah. And our largest one's going to be 87.
But at the same time, other cruise lines at 87, they might put like 1,600, 1,700, 1,800 people on a ship that size, because they could, if they configured it that way. But you're going to give us more public space and maybe larger staterooms and maybe some new categories of staterooms, which is going to be awesome. I love that.
And the Vista and the Allure are entirety, they're all veranda staterooms on board those. So it's 100% veranda ship. Those new ships that are coming out as well, I'm pretty sure they'll also follow the same mentality too.
Gotcha. So no inside, no ocean view, just strictly veranda.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it. Love it. This is an easy one, but I'll let you count the ways. Does Oceania sail the Mediterranean?
Oh boy, yes, we do. Really, as a brand, that's where our bread and butter started. We have some absolutely fantastic Mediterranean sailings. They're actually some of my most favorite sailings. We could be here for 4 hours just going through all the different itineraries. So I really would recommend you explore with Walter there in terms of some of the itineraries we do have. Again, we don't typically just have your 7-day Barcelona to Rome. We'll have like a 10-day sailing that's going from Lisbon to London, and we're going to go up through the Sea of Cortez, and we'll spend an overnight in Bordeaux. We'll have 10-night sailing going from Athens to Istanbul, where out of the 10 days, you're going to get 10 ports. We will have overnights in Istanbul, or we'll have overnights in Ephesus. Personally, I'm going to be going on a sailing in about a month's time here. And I'll be leaving from Malta, and I'll be going through to Rome. So what that sailing does is we head up to Croatia, and then we go down to Kotor in Montenegro, and then we actually go right onto the heel of the boot of Italy, a small place called Bari, and then we go into Sicily, and then into Pompeii, and then into finish up in Rome over the 10 days. And in the 10 days on that sailing, we have 1 day at sea. So it's
Nice.
it's we have beautiful Mediterranean itineraries that I'd highly recommend.
And one of the things, Aaron, too, to look at with Oceania is they rarely repeat the exact same itinerary.
That's right.
You might see a bunch of 10-nighters, but you're going to notice they're a little different. They might start and end in the same places, but the actual, and then year to year, like all the other cruise line, the mainstream, it's like the same itinerary, a little tweak here or there. But with Oceania, every year you go back to the Med, it's a little bit different every single time. So that's one of the neat things too. Is if you see an itinerary you want, book it, because you may not see that exact itinerary again for a while.
I had this exact same conversation today, actually, with my mum. She's looking at Canada, New England sailing. She wants to go out of Montreal, and we have this actually we have one in a week's time, so the 26th of September, and it's a round trip Montreal sailing that sails solely to Canada, and then to France, and then back to Canada in 10 days.
What?
How do we do that? How do we do that, Walter? I'm putting you into the test there. So we go to this tiny little island off the coast of Newfoundland called Saint-Pierre and Miquelon, and it's actually a French territory. So we're allowed to do this sailing because we can go from Montreal. We'll go up we'll go up the estuary and the river and the St. Lawrence, and we'll sail out to this little tiny island. It's roughly around about 200 square miles. 93 square miles, and it, because technically that's France, it allows us to go all the way back to Canada. And I was talking to my mom about that, and she was like, "Oh my goodness, that's great! I'll try and do that next year." And I'm like, "We don't have it next year." So it's just one of these things. If you see a sailing that you like, don't be afraid, because like, when is it that you're going to be able to do it again? So. Yeah,
we have, because some of our clients don't believe us, and I'm like, we can more or less guarantee that won't be back. It might be something similar, but it won't be that. And if if that's that little tweak that you really like, then you better go do it. You better go book it now. And I think that's one of the cool things, because obviously you have a lot of people who come back. And you don't have the type of repeat client that just wants to do that same itinerary, because your ships, as beautiful as they are, they're not the destination. The destination is the destination. And so you're always finding new ways, mixing and matching ports, finding new ports. You've got some new maiden ports coming up this year, I believe, too. Next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll definitely be forging ahead with new ports when it comes to that new itinerary launch on the 23rd of October as well. It comes from the desire of our guests. They are the ones who are like, you know what, we've been and done this, and we want to do something new. Now, granted, it doesn't mean that every single cruise that we have changes. So, if there, we have some standard ones out there that, for example, we have a 30-day going from Dubai down to Cape Town. We'll repeat that one often. Some of your Alaska sailings, they'll be kind of repeated as of last year. Although, having said that, your itinerary, Walter, it's quite a different itinerary. There's a couple of different ports in there for sure.
Yes, that's why we chose it, because it was so different. 12 days. I mean, come on. 12 days in Alaska, 8 ports, up to like 14 hours in port, and some of these ports crazy. We love it. And actually, since I mentioned it, this particular sailing that we have, because we booked it so early, because we locked it down so early, you and I talked about this a couple days ago. You're actually going to grandfather, essentially, more package is going to be grandfathered in, right?
Absolutely. So that's it was a really positive conversation that we were able to have with Walter there, and that we've been able to grandfather the group in. We've been able to grandfather the pricing in as well. One thing as a cruise line that we do, which is kind of slightly different to a lot of the other lines there, is that any sailing that's pretty popular, we'll actually start increasing the cost on the closer we get to that sailing. So it is worth your while to kind of plan out in advance. Having said that, for groups, we've locked that pricing in for Walter, and as long as there's availability and space within Walter's group, then that pricing will be honored. So Walter, you have a really fantastic offer on that one. We've got
have a killer price. Yes,
great pricing.
Can't talk about it on air. Can't talk about it on air. It's amazing.
We've got gratuities included, and then we also have the Prestige Select Pack. So that does make it all inclusive. You don't have to worry about the gratuities. Yeah, exactly. The gratuities are included. All the drinks packages included. And we have a credit towards shore excursions as well.
Oh my gosh! So that's the big kicker, folks. So originally, my group, the prepaid gratuities, was one of the amenities. But starting on October 1st, well, that's something everybody's going to get. So Guilliaume worked it out that our $600 shore excursion credit is going to carry over. on
Yep.
October 1st in exchange for that. So we're going to be one of the only places where you can still get that shore excursion credit starting October 1. And let me tell you, that $600, that went a pretty good way for us. We've got all of our excursions completely booked out. And, if you book 5 or more, you get, 20% off or something
That's
like
right.
that?
Yep.
So we took advantage of that. And yeah, I'm going to be zip lining. We're going to be cooking. I can't even remember what all we're going to be doing. But folks, if you want to come with us, it was already a good deal. Our prices, again, we locked this in about 6 or 8 months ago. So whatever the prices were like 6 or 8 months ago, that's where we're still sitting, as this cruise has slowly gone up, as it should, because it's an amazing itinerary. So we have amazing group rates. We have verandas, we have concierge, and then depending on availability, we can request. I think that's one of the coolest things about Oceania, is that even though we have an allocation, Oceania allows us to say, hey, we have a guest who wants a penthouse suite. Could we get a penthouse suite allocated to our group? And if they say yes, then we get it at the rate at the time that we started our group, and that's amazing.
Exactly. Yeah, we want that flexibility for you there, Walter. So yeah, it's going to be a really good offer, and it's really fantastic sailing. It's bit of jealous of you.
Just tell your mom to come with us. We'll have some
Yeah,
fun.
exactly. Right.
And the links are down in the description, folks. If you wanna learn more about that sailing, links are down in the description. You can also go to where'swaltertravel.com under group travel. There's a whole page tells you everything about that cruise. We're actually starting to, it's almost been an hour. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And I think Aaron has a fabulous question right now. Guilliaume, favorite bite and favorite drink?
Okay, so that's a good question, and I can actually easily answer this. So favorite bites, go to Red Ginger. Our Red Ginger is our specialty restaurant on board the Serena. It's on board the Marina, the Riviera, the Vista, and the Allura. And there is a crispy duck and watermelon salad that I absolutely love. It is just, it sounds a little bit different when it comes to the ingredients, but it just hits. It just hits so fantastic.
It does.
And then my favorite drink is at the Founders Bar, and you can find that on board the Vista, and you can also find that on board the Allura. And there is a drink called the Benevolent Dictator, and it is, it is a cocktail made with Pinot Noir, bourbon, bitters, and then it also has a frozen ball of Pinot Noir that's added into it and poured over the top of that. And then it's put in a smoker and then smoked with hickory. And it does sound a little gnarly with red wine and bourbon, but it's a really different taste, and it was very different. And the nice thing about it was the wine. It comes from a winery called Silver Trident, and that winery is owned by our old president, a guy called Bob Binder, and we were never really allowed to have his wine on board until he because it was a kind of like a conflict of interest.
Sure.
But now he's retired from the company. We kind of dedicated that Benevolent Dictator drink to Bob.
I love that. So I had 4 or 5 different officers tell me about the watermelon salad and watermelon and crispy duck. Unbelievable. Doesn't even describe it. It was so freaking amazing. I will say there was one day at lunch that your future cruise guest, what a lovely woman she was, recommended some sort of a tapas plate for lunch, where they brought out like 6 little plates.
Yep.
I think that was one of my favorite hidden gems, if you will, on the ship. I thought that was absolutely phenomenal.
Awesome. Yeah, we have such variety and choice. It's But that one, that crispy duck, it just hits home slightly differently. So it was an easy answer for me for that one, for once.
Oh my God, it's unbelievably good, and it's crazy because it doesn't sound like it should work, but it totally, absolutely stonking works.
Yep.
And yeah, I would have had 3 bowls of it if I could have. Yeah. For drink, of course, the old fashioned, that's still my favorite drink. We happened to have Christmas night in San Juan, so we were sitting out there still docked and sitting out on the terrace having dinner, which was like the best thing. And it's Christmas night. It's the buffet, so we're sitting outside on the terrace. Your sister ship was right next, your sister brand, Norwegian, was right next to us. And I'm having my old fashioned, and we're just enjoying the meal out there. And for all of that high-level cuisine that was on your ship, that was actually my favorite dinner evening, was just sitting outside on Christmas night with a drink, my wife, and just the beauty outside. You can't ask for any better than that.
The little things again, eh?
The little things. I mean, it really is. And especially on your cruise line, there are a lot of little things. And because it's so small, like we were on the Serena, you really get, like, I got to know Carson really well, the cruise director. I got to know, the dining captain. The hotel manager was amazing. In fact, I've still got interviews with them that I filmed. I still haven't gotten out there. It was just so lovely to get to know all of these people, and they get to know you, and you really do not want to leave the ship.
Exactly.
Wow. Wow. So, folks, it has been just about an hour right now. Guilliaume, again, I want to thank you. This is your 3rd time on the show.
Yeah.
We got to get together.
Indeed.
Man.
Indeed we do. Yeah, well, we're waiting for the day.
Oh my gosh, I really wish I was going up for that conference that you're going to in Cleveland. I almost went to it, but I opted to go. Yeah, stupid me. I'm going to go in January up to Cleveland. That was smart.
Oh, there you go.
So, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this hour. I hope we've had a chance to answer some of your questions. Oceania is legit. They are a fun, casual cruise line, an amazing luxury experience. If you are somebody who really likes food, you like to relax and enjoy good service, especially if you're a social person, you really enjoy meeting those around you. I think I met more people on that sailing for 12 nights than I have in a very long time, because you kind of have to, you're around everybody. But if you want to be absolutely spoiled, just relax and not be in a stuffy luxury atmosphere, Oceania is definitely a cruise line that you should be looking at. I would love to talk to you about it. We had an amazing experience. I would really love to take you to Alaska with us next year in June. Again, our prices are absolutely stonking ridiculous. We're not permitted to talk about them on the air, but they are stonking ridiculous because we locked in the cruise so long ago. And we're getting that $600 shore excursion grandfathered in after October 1. But we're not going to have those cabins forever. At some point, Oceania's going to take them back and say, sorry, we need them back. So don't wait too long.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Don't rest on your laurels there, as they say.
No. So, folks, I want to thank you again for tuning in. Once again, I am Walter with Where's Walter Travel. We do cruise, luxury, land expedition. You're going to find all the wonderful links down in the description down below if you want to reach out to us. Our services are 100% free to you. So why not reach out? We've been cruising almost 20 years. So why not take advantage of us and take advantage of, these relationships that we have. That's why I love having Guilliaume and everybody else on the shows on Thursday, because this is it. I mean, if I need something, I just pick up the phone, I call Guilliaume, and we just chat it out, and I love it. I love it so much. So, folks, thanks so much for tuning in. Guilliaume, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
I mean, thanks again for taking your time out, folks. It's always very much appreciated, and hopefully we'll be able to welcome you on Oceania at some point in the future. So thank you so much.
All right, folks, and we'll see you Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. for our cruise Q&A, and of course, be back here next Thursday, either myself and Rebecca or another guest. Have a great evening, everybody.
Goodbye.